Are you guys ready for this? It's almost springtime, and you know what that means? It means turkey hunting. We're going to be giving tips and tricks and stories for springtime and fall turkey hunts. Hey everybody, welcome to the Mac Outdoors podcast, where a dynamic mother-daughter duo share their adventures, tips, and advice. I am Mia, and I'll be accompanied by the one and only daughter, Leah. It is time to get to outdoors, hunt, shoot, and spend time with family and friends. Let's get this show on the road. Hey everybody, we're happy you're back for another week of Mac Outdoors with us. Last week we talked a little bit about shed hunting, and Leah told us some of the restrictions and laws and stuff that you need to be looking for in the future. And on that note, there were some things that came out in the news just that week after we released that episode number 3. And this week, since we were talking about shed hunting, I want to talk about a time when I think it's optimal to find sheds, and that is during turkey season. I first got Leah into hunting turkeys because in Colorado you cannot hunt big game until you're over 12 years old, and she started hunting when she was about 6, I believe. We used to go turkey hunting, and she would find sheds like crazy, so she's been a shed hunter for quite a while, right, Leah?
Yeah, a little while.
What do you think was the most fun thing about turkey hunting besides finding sheds?
Well, I have a lot of memorable shed hunting stories from turkey hunting, but I think the most memorable thing of turkey hunting as a little kid anyway was probably hearing them and having to sit quiet for what seemed so long and sit still. I remember one time sitting there with one of my friends, and they're like, sit still, be quiet, and we could see 2 red heads just through the willows coming.
And we're like, don't wiggle.
And we're like shaking that we see them, and they never did come in, but it was still pretty cool just to see them, their heads going through the trees. It was very memorable.
Do you remember hearing them drum for the first time?
Oh, yes. I was like, what is that? What is that noise?
Hearing strutting, drumming toms is a blast. So in Colorado, turkey season doesn't actually start until April. And this year, Colorado's season goes from April 8th to May 21st. And then in New Mexico, we hunt there when we can. Their season's a little shorter, so sometimes we can't get there. But this year, New Mexico is April 15th to May 10th. And Leah has, over the years, become quite an accomplished turkey hunter. Let me ask her, Leah, what is your favorite time to hunt turkeys?
I am surprisingly a strange turkey hunter, but I like to hunt turkeys in the fall.
Why in the fall?
Well, for one, I don't have to sit and wait because my method is to call them in and then jump out and chase them down and jump shoot them, basically.
So we always knew, like, when you're hunting turkeys in the fall, traditionally what you do is you find the turkeys, you bust them up, and then you call them back to you. And so in trying to teach Leah this method, I'm like, okay, you go out there and bust them up, and then we'll call them back. Well, she goes out there, and she can run faster than the turkeys. So she goes out there and gets to the turkeys, stops, shoots her turkey, and she's done. So I guess that's what you call running and gunning, right?
Yes.
So that's Leah's favorite. My favorite, actually, I like springtime turkey hunting because it's kind of like elk hunting. You can learn to call and try to speak their language like you would a big bull and try to entice a bull elk in. You can try to entice a big strutting tom turkey in, and I really like that challenge. So
I think the last time of my spring adventures was with that one tom that took me 3 years to get, but that first year we called it in, and I think I was hunting with a 20 gauge at the time, and we were calling it in, and we watched it for probably 100 yards coming in, and it got to about 45 yards, and I just could not wait any longer, and I shot when I should have waited. And so that one was kind of devastating because I was like, I waited so long and he got away.
Yeah, and that hunt, actually, she learned a little on that about patience, but it was a little further than 100 yards. Those turkeys made their way down a big valley that we were hunting, and we watched them probably for 500 yards coming at us. And when they started to get closer, that Tom was strutting and zigging and zagging back and forth, herding the hens, and he was really majestic, but sitting there patiently being still, as she said, was a struggle. And I think by the time he got that close, it was like more than she could bear. But one lesson that you all need to take away for turkey hunting, if you plan to turkey hunt this year, and experienced turkey hunters can attest, you have to wait for them to either gobble and stick their head up, or for them to just get out of their strut. They need to put their feathers down so that you can take aim at their head. And on that note, Leah could probably tell you a little about patterning your shotgun and where you need to have your pattern on a turkey target when you're patterning the gun.
For turkeys, it seems like just shoot them in the body, but they do have so many feathers that it's pretty thick, and that's a tough part about it. But I remember we always did a shotgun competition through YHEC where whoever got the tightest pattern on their turkey was the winner. And so where you aim on a turkey is their head, and if they're strutting, you could possibly mistake where their head is because they do shrink their head up a little bit. And so if they're standing straight up perked, you have a better point of aim, so to speak.
Exactly. So when you're patterning the shotgun, you want to make sure and aim for the head, basically, and the neck, so that you can get one of your pellets into a kill zone. And as she said, turkeys have a lot of feathers. They're also thick, and that was partly why when she had that 20 gauge and at 45 yards, the turkey was strutting and it just wasn't optimal range. It needed to be closer, and he needed to be out of the strut. So remember that if you're new to turkey hunting, you've got to be patient and wait. Unless he is looking straight at you, then you may be better at getting a headshot. In the past years, since Leah got Mr. Big, she has actually been pursuing turkeys with her bow. And Leah, with the bow, you've done a lot of competitions on 3D targets, which are helpful for kill zones. But what have you learned with hunting with your bow for turkeys?
I have really learned that it's not as easy as people say it is. Especially here, like, as I like to hunt, running and gunning, so to speak, that it's a lot more challenging. I can't sit for a very long period of time and wait in my blind or whatever I'm in, so it's definitely a lot more challenging. And the zones, it's almost plays with your head because you're like, should I shoot him in the head or should I shoot him in the body? Am I gonna miss the head because it's such a small target? It's really hard to balance and practice that.
Right. And basically, when you're archery hunting, if you're a really good shot, you can aim for the head. Of course, if a turkey steps or moves or even turns his head, you have the possibility of missing. And when you're aiming for the body with archery hunting, you're going to aim just above their leg, and you'll look toward their head, but just toward their head, maybe about an inch or two, and above where their leg goes. So you really need to study a kill zone before you go out and archery hunt so that you can see where they are on a turkey, because when they are all strutted up, they do look different shapes and sizes, and you don't want to just shoot through feathers. You want to actually hit the kill zone. So I've seen a lot of hunters that we've taken when we've guided, they will, I guess, shave feathers, so to speak, and you find the cut feathers on the ground, but never any blood because they missed that kill zone. So study those before you go and hunt.
A big part, too, is when they are strutting, they make their chest bigger with their feathers. So you're like, oh, the kill zone's right here. But then when they put their feathers down, you'll find out that, oh, the kill zone is really like 3 or 4 inches back a ways. And I have experienced the miss and cutting feathers as well. It's just a learning experience.
Right. And then we've had hunters come, and it's a matter of preference. I usually hunt with fixed broadheads. We have hunters who like expandable because they spread a little more wide. And that's a matter of preference, and we could debate about that for days and days and days. And you take your choice on those. If we were hunting big game, I would argue more on that. But for turkeys, I think you could use a fixed or expandable broadhead. Be sure and just practice before you go on the hunt. Another thing, when you're out hunting turkeys, Leah said she doesn't like to sit in the blind. In Colorado, we do a lot of spot and stalk, and that's the way the terrain is set up, the way the birds move. They don't always come back to the same valley every day. Sometimes they rotate through 3 different valleys, and so you try to go locate them and then get close to them. And one tip, and something that I enjoy about turkey hunting, is try to hunt in pairs. Hunt with friends, and it's good quality time in the woods, which is what we used to do with Leah when she was little. Bring her with us. But she talked about her and her friends sitting there and the turkeys coming in. Well, I actually was about 15 yards, 20 yards behind those girls as Hank sat with them, and we were calling them, enticing them past those girls so that they could get a chance at a shot before the birds noticed who was calling. So try to hunt in pairs. You can help call and locate, and also you'd have another set of eyes, but it's a lot of fun to hunt and call together. What are your favorite calls?
My mouth.
Without a reed?
Yes.
Yes. So I've seen a few people who can call really well without a mouth reed, and Leah is one of them. And how do you do that? What do you think? Is it something...
I don't even have an explanation of why I try to do it without a mouth reed and how I manage to make it sound good. I used to practice a lot doing it, and now I don't do it as often because we are in the fall and they don't call as much as when I hunt. But every now and then.
Every now and then. Want to give us a demo?
Oh, God.
Come on. Can't cluck like you're smiling. Do you cluck? Purr? What are you going to do?
I don't know.
We make her laugh more to make it more difficult.
How's that?
That was pretty good. Put her on the spot for you guys.
Since last week you found out that I am the guru of research and fun facts, I thought it would be fun to share with you guys the difference between our turkeys versus turkeys out more east of us. We actually don't have double-bearded turkeys. It's very rare that we see them. And another big thing is our turkey beards aren't as long as bearded birds out east, because with the heavy snow, a lot of the time they'll get snow on there and it'll clump up and break off. Mm-hmm. I remember my very first bird, you could see it where it had clumped up and it was all broken and snowy on there. And it was about 4.5 inches long. So we never really knew how big that bird was, but it was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was a super thick beard, I remember. But yeah, not very long.
Yeah.
And spurs. Spurs are a little less sharp here because of the rocky terrain that the birds go through. And so it sometimes will dull them instead of having a real sharp spur. So they tend to be a little bit shorter out here than they do out east or in warmer climates. If you guys are looking for additional turkey hunting tips and advice, you can follow my website, miaanstine.com. I have links there to articles about turkey hunting, how to get started turkey hunting, what kind of gear to take turkey hunting, and so forth. And you can look on my website for that. And then, Leah?
I will be sharing a lot of my crazy adventures through turkey hunting. I know I have some very fun stories to share, so that'll be on my blog, which is at leahleggett.com. And I'm sure I'll be sharing some fun articles at Girls with Guns Clothing on their blog as well.
Awesome. And so don't forget to check out, also follow us on social media, because we don't just share our own tips, we will share other people's tips if they seem really cool. And last week on my Facebook page, I shared turkey folly, I guess you could say, and it was a fun video about a hen. So maybe search through my Mia Anstine Facebook page and see if you can find that story of the hen. It's kind of funny. And so on that note, everybody have a great week. Thanks for stopping in again. Our numbers have not just doubled, but quadrupled, and we're on episode 4. So we're really excited at how quickly that the podcast is growing. And of course, we wouldn't do that without you listening. So thank you very much.
Thanks for listening, guys. Tune in next week.